one of the overall themes was you have got to step out.
Yeah.
You have got to do it. It's one thing to pull in this knowledge. There's one thing of making corrections. You have got to actually step out and do it.
And do something with it, yeah.
Well, hello and welcome to the Trim the Wick podcast. I'm Dan.
And I'm Becky.
And we are back with you this week. We are super excited to be back with you. Last week, you might have noticed there wasn't a Trim the Wick podcast because we were at a convention and we were at the John Maxwell International Conference and we had a great time. So we are back this week.
We are. And right up front, big announcement, everybody.
Okay, here we go.
Massive crowd noise, cheering, streamers falling from the ceiling. This conference, this International Maxwell Conference, was actually the culmination of Dan's months-long pursuit of a Maxwell certification. So congratulations, babe. I am so proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah, we decided the end of last summer that we were that I would join the Maxwell team and get certified as a trainer, a speaker, and a coach.
Yep.
And so we've been going through the process, or I've been going through the process the last few months and doing different things, and that all finished this last week.
That's right.
Got officially certified and looking forward to bringing more value to people. Yeah. And teaching and using this skill and using these things that I've learned to, help people. And we're going to kind of talk about that today. That's kind of, we want to do a highlight of the conference because, man, this was amazing.
It really was. It was so fun. I got to go. What was really nice about this conference is that there were certain days of the conference and certain activities throughout the conference where a spouse or family member or friend could come and participate without having purchased a ticket.
Yeah.
So it was nice. The conference ran from Sunday through Wednesday.
Right.
And I was able to come for Sunday evening, Tuesday evening, and then all day Wednesday. So it was great. It was fantastic to hear you come home the days that you were in intensive training sessions on Monday and Tuesday and hear some of those downloads.
Right.
But then to also be able to participate with you. That's one of the things we've really enjoyed about the Maxwell team is that it's not just a tagline that they're family.
Yes.
They include the family. So
yeah, and it is. I love the idea that it's much bigger than the individual.
Yeah.
You are a family. They talk a lot. John talks a lot about how you're joining his family, and you're part of a tribe that is all looking forward to raising people up, lifting people up, pouring into others. That servant leadership that John has taught for, my gosh, 40, 50 years now.
Yeah.
And he really believes it, and his organization lives by it and proves it out.
Yeah.
And I do want to make a quick correction on one of the things you said. We did have to purchase a ticket for you.
For Wednesday, yes.
For Wednesday, for the Day to Grow.
Sunday and Tuesday were completely, open.
Yes, and it was fantastic. And we want to talk a little bit about it because it kind of leads in some of the direction where we're going as Trim the Wick.
Right.
And some of the things that I'm going to be focusing on, and how, even this podcast might be changing a little bit as we talk more about leadership development, personal development. We've been hinting over that over the last few months, but I think we're really wanting to go hard into that now.
Yeah.
And because we see such a need, there's such a vacuum out there, I believe, right now, in people who are really good leaders.
Yeah.
And as a leader, John Maxwell talks about, leaders is basically influence. Well, there's a lot of people who have a lot of influence over a lot of people.
Who shouldn't have.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of leaders, quote unquote, leaders out there who are not good.
Right.
There's a lot of people out there that are influencing in the wrong way, and you're starting to see a little bit of change. I see it in some of the research I'm doing and some of the articles, and even we're seeing this in our day to day. When you just kind of see what's happening in the world, is that there is this shift happening in leadership right now,
Right.
where it's moving away from the managerial style ideas of leadership to a more inclusive of raising people up to fulfill their potential.
Less control and more collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it, babe. This whole week, we were just, I was in awe of sitting over these professionals, and everyone on the John Maxwell team are professionals.
Yes.
And being a part of that, I can understand that, because the dedication and the time it takes to put it all together. That's one of the things as a Maxwell coach, speaker, whatever. These are not people who throw things together. These are people who are passionate, who care, who are really invested in what they're doing. And man, that just comes across in every session.
It really does.
You got to experience that firsthand just in the first night, when Mark Cole came out and kind of shared about what the week was going to be about.
Yeah, it was. Gosh, I'm trying to even remember. There was so much, but yeah, when he first took the stage, and that first night was a Sunday evening, just kind of an orientation.
Yeah, it was kind of just here's what to expect over the next couple days. Yeah,
and here's who you're going to be hearing from, and here's what it is, and Mark Cole is the CEO,
right,
of the Maxwell organization. He came out and was so professional and so articulate, but also so approachable.
Yeah.
And you know how sometimes when people are speaking, you can just see their heartbeat.
Yeah.
You could see that with him, that it is absolutely what he lives and breathes, to build people up and
right.
to encourage them. And
yeah.
and he kind of gave the overview of what the focus of this conference was going to be, and then the whole thing was be the one.
Yeah.
Are you going to be the one? There are 1,001 things out there that you see and that are a priority to you, and that you go, wow, that needs to change, or wow, this needs to be done, or wow, there's such a deep need in people's lives for this. Are you going to be the one that just recognizes it? Or are you going to be the one that does something about it?
Yeah, and I love Mark's story, because he started with the Maxwell company years and years ago, working in the mailroom. It's
Right.
that story of going from the bottom of the company, literally, to the top, and where he has seen how the company and the Maxwell company has poured into him in leadership, and built him up and helped him grow and helped him, make mistakes. And he talks a lot about that, about the mistakes he's made over the years, but there was always that grace to overcome those mistakes and to grow from them. One of the things that I really caught on to was the, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn idea that John has, that, when you make mistakes, the important thing is that what did you learn from that mistake?
Which is where it kind of points out that the organization as a whole really is like a family. We don't toss our kids out in the street when they make a mistake. Oh, well, you messed up. No longer in the family, dude. Sucks to be you.
Yeah.
But we go, okay, here's an opportunity for us as parents to lead you into recognition of what went wrong, to lead you into what you could have done differently, to lead you in correction. And so the whole organization is about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so going on to what he spoke on, what you were saying there, be the one. We see so much around us that is wrong or not good. There are so many opportunities to complain. There are so many opportunities just to kind of throw your hands up and go, whatever. And, that's them, that's not me. Not my monkey, not my circus.
Right.
But I really loved what he said and challenged us, as in, are you going to be that person that is actually willing to sacrifice to be the one to make the difference? And carrying that, as a person that has really always wanted to care, has always cared about people, wanted to lift people up, even in my own strength, I can go, you know what? It's just whatever. I can just, I'll just roll with some of this, and, I'll be a little bit lazy or whatever. But to be inspired to say, no, you know what? For such a time as this,
Right.
I am being called to be the one, because you know what? I'm the one who sees it. I'm the one who's upset about it. I'm the one who is, quote unquote, complaining about it. I'm the one who, so guess what? This isn't for someone else to fix.
Right.
This isn't for someone else to handle. This is something that's been laid on me. And am I going to step up? Am I going to be the one that's going to make the sacrifice necessary?
Yeah.
And in doing that, I help everyone around me. In doing that, I'm lifting up, making a difference, and changing things. But I'm also changing me as well.
Right.
And I thought that was one of the cool things of the week that they spoke on. And I know there was a lot of sessions that you weren't a part of.
Right.
But the sessions that I was a part of, they really focused on improving yourself. That it all begins with you, that law of the mirror type thing, that, look at yourself first to fix yourself, to improve yourself, to put yourself in the situation where you're now deep enough, you're now talented enough, you're now at the level where you can make a change.
Because you can't lead from what you don't have.
Exactly. And I think it comes right along with what we've been talking about for the last year plus with Trim the Wick.
Right.
Our heart in Trim the Wick is that we trim our wicks first.
Right.
That we can't be a light to other people. We can't bring the thing that we have to other people until we're shining bright ourselves.
Right.
Which means we have to trim our wick. We've got to prepare ourselves first.
Which kind of goes back to what you were talking about, where people that are in leadership positions now, we see a lot of poor leadership. We see a lot of outright destructive leadership, but we see a lot of people in leadership positions that aren't leading well, not because they don't mean well, not because they don't have good hearts, but because they're not equipped themselves.
Right.
There's still so much stuff going on within them that they're not leading themselves, so they can't lead you.
Right.
And there's a lot of that out there.
Yeah. And so that's one of the things I think that I've been kind of tasked with. That's one of my charges, is that, helping people see what they need to see, to trim the wick, to cut off the fat, to overcome those things that are holding you back. Right. So that then you're able to step into the point to be the one. John talks a lot about luck. Luck does not happen.
Right.
Luck is something that you prepare for. You put yourself in the right position. You are ready to speak or to pounce on the moment when, quote unquote, the luck happens. You are already in position to receive it. It's not actual luck at all.
Right.
It comes through hard work and preparation and putting yourself out there and being in the right position.
And it comes from the understanding, John is a believer, and it comes from understanding that, yes, the Lord is ordering your footsteps, but if you don't step where he's shown you to step,
right.
If you don't put yourself in those positions, you don't take those preparatory opportunities, you don't, walk through those doors, you don't put yourself around those people, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
If you don't walk in it.
Yeah. And that is that part of being the one, is that it requires you to not only prepare yourself to look in the mirror and to make those corrections that need to be corrected, but it's not just good enough to prepare yourself. You've got to step into it.
Yeah.
You've got to start walking it out. And I love some of the speakers, and there's folks, I'm going to just say, there was so much information in 3 days. It's so hard to even
We could
comprehend.
take hours telling you about it.
But one of the overall themes was you have got to step out.
Yeah.
You have got to do it. It's one thing to pull in this knowledge. There's one thing of making corrections. You have got to actually step out and do it.
And do something with it. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the different things, because that was just the first night. I mean, that was just to go into a little bit more, kind of explain the whole conference. One of the things that the John Maxwell team, we do is we do 5 things, and it's one of those things that's, we speak, we train, we coach, we play the leadership game, and we do behavior analysis, or we assess behavior. And so those are the 5 things. So through the 2 days where you weren't with me, Becky, that's, we talked about the different disciplines from speaking, coaching, training, doing the disc, and, assessing behavior, and talking about the leadership game. So every one of these disciplines are a piece, kind of a piece of a puzzle to building good leaders and also developing yourself. Because yes, John Maxwell is a leadership developing company, but overall it is a personal developing company, because the goal is not just to be great leaders, but the goal is to be a great person.
Right.
And so all of these different things and these different disciplines are really focused on developing you as a person to overcome those things that you're afraid of, to overcome those things that make you lazy, to overcome those things that, keep you from achieving your best. I can think of one of the things they talked about, of wanting to be able to put yourself out there, to be more of a people person and things like
Right.
that, and how to take simple steps to help move you in that direction so you're more confident.
I think that's one of the things that I loved about the times when I was there. One of the things that came through is that, yes, it's leadership development, but it's from a perspective that it's all rooted in personal development.
Yes.
Because every single person is a leader in some aspect of their
Yes.
life. And so it's not about getting everybody to be a CEO.
Right.
It's not about getting everybody to be, whatever high level leadership position you're picturing in your mind. It's understanding that people who develop themselves are leading other people.
Right.
Or people who fail to develop themselves are leading other
Yeah.
people. People are watching you. People are following you in whatever aspect you are in life, in your family, in your job, in your relationships, in your community. Interactions with other people by default mean that you are leading in some manner or other. So the more you develop who you are into a good and stable and character-filled and integrity-filled and disciplined person, wow, the impact you can have.
Yeah. It shows how, as a person, you don't realize how many people you actually connect with over your lifetime, and how much influence you have over people over your lifetime.
Yeah.
And to be able to kind of focus on that a little bit, to kind of open your eyes up to see how, just in your day-to-day life, how you interact with someone at a grocery store, or how you interact with someone at a club, or a volunteer at the church, or, in your business, or whatever, when you go get the oil change done, whatever it is, that you make an impact on people, and how you're leading in your life really flows out of you and how you interact with people around you.
Yeah.
So it's so much more than just I'm not gonna ever be a CEO, so I don't need this information.
Right.
No, because you're gonna be leading people in your home, at the Little League game, at, all everywhere you go.
And even if you are the person who is a single hermit out in the middle of nowhere, you're going to be leading your own life.
Yeah.
And so don't you want that life to be as fulfilling and as purposeful and as what it was designed to be as
Yep.
it can possibly be?
Yep.
So
good. Let me give a couple highlights for the times that you weren't there, hon. 'Cause
Yeah, please.
there were a couple things that were just stellar, outstanding things. Is that in the speaking portion, we all had to do our speech. We all had to get up and do a 3-minute speech. But what they had is people who have gone through the complete program and done a mentorship with Rowdy Galbraith, who's the main speaker, who's the instructor for the main speaker program. And they did a 10-minute speech. And to hear the stories of, from people who were overcoming cancer to MS, to people who were just dealt something in their own life where they thought their life was going to go this direction and something changed dramatically in their job, and then they had to go a whole completely other direction.
Right.
And to hear these inspiring stories of people who have had all these things happen to them, it makes you think about the things in your own life where, I've had a challenge. I have not had cancer. I've not had a major sickness or illness. But you know what? I have lost my job. Mm-hmm. I have been in a financial ruin situation where we had to declare bankruptcy and pull ourselves out of the hole and stuff. How do those things affect you and change you? And do they change you for the better? Do they change you in an inspirational way to not only inspire you and your family and what you've been dealing with, but what can you do to make that a message to other people? Again, leading, inspiring other people, so that those who are going through those circumstances, who see no way out or are at their rock bottom, how can they move forward out of that? And I think for a long time, a lot of people joke and tease on the inspirational speaking and all this stuff. And you know what? When you really connect with someone who has gone through a struggle or gone through something, to me, watching another individual go through that and be able to come out the other side, that is so much more inspiring than reading it in a book or doing, just kind of hearing, this is just get out of it. Pull up from the bootstraps, and get through. No, when you hear about someone who has gone through that struggle and you make that connection when they're right there in front of you or hearing their story, it does inspire you to help you move forward.
Yeah, and if you're finding yourself in positions like that, there are two ways to handle it, right?
Yeah.
You can either be inspired by somebody who's been there and walked that path, or you can sit and wallow to your own destruction.
Right.
How much better, again, we're all leading somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So if God's walked us through some things and has given us stories that are testimonies of victory and testimonies of overcoming, or testimonies of, wow, I didn't know if I could come through this.
Right.
But by either a recognition of something in my own life, or a trimming away of something in my own life, or a person who came alongside me, it helps give us tools.
Yeah.
Other people's testimonies, spoken powerfully and distinctively, help give us tools.
Yeah. And it also shows the power of words. There is real power in words and stories and those things, that it can take you places. It can really affect you. I don't know how many times I was wiping tears away from my eyes this week, because there was just so much in that was hard-hitting, inspirational, using the same words over and over again. But it was just, yes, I can do this. Yes, I can be that one. I can, yes, okay, so I saw that in your story, you had to stop doing XYZ. Guess what? I can do that too.
Yeah.
And, it was just very good. It was fantastic. One of the other things I thought was amazing was they did a live coaching session from the stage. For many people might be listening to the podcast, you might not have any idea what coaching is, what personal coaching is. You know, you've maybe heard the thing of life coaching or whatever, but you're like, oh, that sounds new agey and stuff like that. Let me tell you, it's not. It's not at all. We got to experience a life coaching session, and Valerie Burton, who is the coaching mentor and the coaching instructor, she did a live session, and it was so good just to watch. If you're direct and you're asking the right questions to draw things out of folks, it is so inspiring. Again, I keep going back to the same words, but it was incredible to watch how this conversation that was happening in front of us, Valerie was asking these questions that were just pulling out answers and truths and things. And Valerie wasn't, she was guiding, she was coaching,
Right.
but she wasn't answering the questions. The other girl was. And it was one of the things that I took from it was this, it was a relentless pursuit of truth. And she just kept pushing her a little bit and inviting her to say the next thing.
So it's not so much, coaching is not a telling you how you should live your life and giving you step by steps of what you should do next and how you should handle things, but it's more of a helping you to dig deep and look at what you're already doing.
Right.
Look at what you're already thinking and identify the falsehoods that you're living your life by.
Basically,
So
yeah.
that you
I mean,
can-
that's it. Yeah, to a nutshell. I mean, it's, you know, you start off with what do you want to get out of the session type thing, and then, well, why aren't you getting there? Why aren't you achieving this? Okay, well, what is the obstacles in front of you? What are the things that are in your way? You know, and then you keep kind of opening that out and keep pushing that to really narrow down to what are the actual obstacles.
And that can be so valuable because
Oh, yeah.
sometimes we're just so stuck in the routine of living our lives
Yeah.
that we're doing things without even thinking about why and what's at the root of why we're doing them. We're believing things about ourselves. We're believing things about our life. We're
Right.
believing things about the options that are in front of us.
Well, yes.
Or the lack thereof that aren't based in truth. They're just kind of based in
Right.
what our brains are scrambled in right
Exactly.
now.
Well, and the thing is that you are living in the moment.
Yeah.
And when you're living in the moment, a lot of times you're just reacting
Yeah.
to the moment.
It's survival.
So yeah, it's a simple thing. It's a survival thing. You're just reacting to what am I going through. In a coaching session, is you're stopping, and you're going, okay, we're no longer living in the moment. We're now talking about the actual thing. So let's remove the quick things. The I got to make a decision here. I got to make to okay. So what are the obstacles? What are the things that are actually causing you to make those decisions that are hindering you? And then what are the options? And I just loved how, you know, way Valerie, she just kept pushing her just a little bit.
Right.
Well, you know, that could be an option. You could do that. What is another way? What is another thing that you could do to reach your goal that would solve this thing that's in your way, in your path? And to kind of push just a little bit to keep pulling it out to the point of where, you know, now you have a group of 5 or 6, 7 different options. Okay, well, what's the best one to choose? What is one that you're willing to do? Because sometimes it might be a great option, but you might not be willing to do it.
Or it doesn't fit in with your overall goals in life
Exactly.
or whatever. Yeah,
So-
it's a thing I could do,
Yeah.
but why would I choose that?
And then,
Yeah.
okay, so now that you're there, what is your action? What are you going to do? How are you going to overcome now? Because this is the option. Let's put this to practice. And what I loved about it was the coaching thing was, it wasn't a thing of you need to do this, 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 and this.
Right.
It was okay, what are the things that you can do? What are the options that you're able to do? What are the actions that you can do? Okay, now how are you going to do that? When are you going to do that?
It helps you put a plan together.
Exactly. And then it puts something in perspective, because a lot of times we have goals and dreams and things like that. We have no idea how to get there, or we are thinking we're doing it right, but it keeps failing. So how do we get over that?
And sometimes we just don't even know how to think about it
Right.
ourselves. And that's where
You know,
having a coach really helps.
yeah, and having that personal coaching. And that's one of the things where in this process of going through all this is some of the training that I've been going through, and where it was opening my eyes, because I'm one of those trainer teacher people. And I love to tell people what to do. It's not a thing of I get to rule over you, but
I've got a solution for your problem.
That
Yeah.
I know the answer, and I'm going to tell you the answer. And a lot of times in that situation, you get frustrated because it's like, well, I just told you the answer. Why aren't you doing it? Well, it's because that individual, it's number one, it's not their answer.
Right.
So they can't even process it. So they need to come to the understanding themselves, and what is the way they can process it and implement it and live by it. And a lot of times the best way is to coach it out of them, and you're going to encourage them to discover those answers and stuff. And as a coach, that is, one of the most important things is to help them discover the answers and discover their actions, because when they discover it themselves, they're a lot more willing to do it.
Right.
And also, they can also put it in the framework of their life. How many times do you read a thing of, you need to do these 6 things?
And it
you're
just doesn't work with where you are. Yeah.
And you're looking at it and going, well, no, because I have 4 kids and I have this, and so I'm never going to achieve this of losing weight because I can't do these 6 things, that this guru is telling me I should do. Well, no, you can lose weight. You're just going to have to discover the things that work for you. And that's where that coach comes in and helps walk you through that process to build that action plan for you so you can reach your goals, which is amazing.
So
Awesome
now you're
time.
trained and skilled in that.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to helping other people, and coaching other people in doing that.
Well, we had a discussion about how this was a mindset shift for you even.
Yes.
In the coaching, because when you have the background that we have of, the most of our leadership experience and our leadership training has come up through church discipleship type programs.
Right.
And in those kinds of programs, there is a right way and a right answer.
Right.
Right. And this is different.
Yeah.
This is much more personal. It's founded on similar principles. There is a solid bedrock bottom line truth that you are helping people to discover. But much like we see in the scripture, where the application and implementation of that truth into people's lives is a very individualized thing.
Yeah.
The coaching is that individualization of the bedrock truths.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's one of those things I learned a long time ago when I, bought my first tube top.
He's not kidding, y'all.
One size fits all is a lie. It's a huge lie, And
that was one of those moments in youth ministry. There were comments from parents. It's okay, but it illustrated it illustrated the point quite well.
It is. One size fits all doesn't work out. So, what were some of the main things? I know I've been kind of rambling now for a while, babe. But
what
was some of the main things and something that you want to touch on here as we?
Oh my goodness, which one? There was so much that was impactful. So the Sunday night intro, I was there for. And then Tuesday night was an absolutely beautiful worship service.
Yes.
And it's where I loved John Maxwell got to preach. And the rest of the conference, when he spoke, he was speaking on leadership, and there were biblical principles involved because everything he does is set on biblical precepts. But he didn't teach the word of God per se.
Right.
Tuesday night, he did.
Yeah.
And it was one of the most beautiful presentations of the gospel that I think I have ever seen, because he opened up with presenting the ends that can take you out. And he went through insecurity and inaction and inconsistency and inhibition and indecision
Right.
and inferiority and all of these ends that can take you out of the game. And he pulled out that all of it was rooted in believing that you're not enough. And that is rooted in not understanding that you, in fact, are created in the image of God.
Right.
And designed for purpose, and that God loves you.
Yeah.
He loved you enough that from before the foundation of the earth, he made a way and prepared a way for your salvation and for you to walk in him, and that you are his workmanship, and that, your feelings are valid, but they're not accurate.
Yeah.
And if you let your feelings rule, you're missing the truth of what God's put in you. And it was just this beautiful, for the believers that were in the room, it was this beautiful reminder and encouragement. And for the unbelievers in the room, it was this invitation to be loved and seen and known in a way that they had never been loved and seen and known before.
Yeah.
And the response to that was just beautiful.
Yeah.
There were probably, 200?
Oh, definitely.
At least. There
At
were
least
a couple
200.
of hundred that responded to the invitation and said, yeah, I want to know God and be known by God in the way that you just described. I want to be valued and loved and pursued and experience purpose in the way that I was created to. And it was such a gentle and loving invitation.
Yeah.
And it left a mark. It left a mark. So that was just absolutely beautiful to be part of. So yeah, it was just a stunningly beautiful
Yeah.
thing to get to be a part of.
Yeah.
That worship service. And what was fun is that worship service closed out the certification process.
Yes.
That was, so the certification program was the Sunday through Tuesday, and then it ended in a worship service. And then Wednesday was kind of its own separate thing.
Yeah. And I'm thinking what we'll do, why don't we talk about, because there was so much just in that Wednesday, Wednesday all day sessions or whatever. Why don't we do that in a part 2, basically,
Okay, sounds good.
next week. And so, but let's wrap up this whole thing. And I'll be honest with you, the IMC, as I call it, the International Maxwell Conference, was amazing.
It was.
And there was so much there that was inspirational, that was encouraging, that was provocative, that, just everything about it. One of the things that I got to experience that you didn't was all the meals, because while you're there, they provide us with meals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right.
And being in the room when they were doing the meal and just being able to talk to other people who are working all over the world. Now, I don't know exact number, but I know it's like 150 countries
Wow.
are represented or were represented, and talking to different people all over the world who are talking about leadership and talking about the influence of the youth and what's going on all over the world, plus, all over the country. We talk
Right.
about all over the world, but just the United States alone is a massive, massive place that has different regions and different things. And hearing people from Washington to Georgia to Alabama to Ohio. I was speaking with people from South Florida, talked to someone from New Jersey, and just hearing all of the different things about what's going on in their neck of the woods,
Right.
And how they're seeing business and how they're seeing leadership and how they're seeing young people, and drawing from this just incredible wealth of knowledge, just sitting there over a meal, which was fantastic.
And one of the things that I love that you came away with from those meals is you came away with connections and
Yeah.
contacts and collaborators, and that is so encouraged. So I'm really excited coming out of this certification process with what you're going to be able to bring to your clients through Trim the Wick,
Yeah.
to the podcast as we go forward,
Yep.
to our family, as you begin to grow even beyond what you've ever been as a leader.
Yep.
And y'all, I'm excited about this because we founded Trim the Wick to have broad impact and to help people really shine. And the tools and the things that Dan now has in his pocket are going to really enhance that impact that he's going to be able to have. So be looking. There's already some shifts on
Yeah.
the website. There's already some kind of new offerings out there
Yep.
that we're moving towards. And one of those 5 pillars that they do is the behavior analysis. That's available. There's going to be a masterclass in April
Yep.
over some of that. Check that out on the website. The personal coaching and the team coaching is going to be available on there. So we're so excited about the things that are going to come out of this conference that are going to begin to help you impact your area of leadership.
Yep. And that's the goal, is to inspire, to pour into you and to pour into those who want to better themselves and those who want to make an impact and those who want to be the one, you
Yeah.
know, to just ride the coattails of that, to make a difference in the world around them and themselves personally.
Absolutely.
So yeah, go to our website. It's www.trimthewick.com. And there is so much on there now. We've made a lot of updates to it. And you're going to also see some new and more things coming and more updates coming to that. But yeah, I want to just invite you to look over the website and to join me in April. We'll be doing a masterclass, and you can sign up for that there on the website. Well, babe, we're going to have to do a part 2 to this.
All right. We'll talk about Wednesday next time.
Because you want to talk about an amazing Wednesday. Wow, there was just so much that happened on that day, and I think it needs its own time.
Okay, let's give it its own time.
So we're going to do that. So next week, join us for part 2, I guess, of this, and we're going to talk about Day to Grow. And man, that was so cool. So
We'll
all
see
right,
you
guys.
there.
All right, so we'll just see you then.